Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. This is Lamborghini C. I am coming at you briefly this morning. I may come back this afternoon, but you know what? It was on my heart. It's been on my heart to actually start a new series entitled Are You Ready for Business? With everything that's going on in our economy today, with all of the restructuring measures that are going on, for many of you, I think this is the wake up call. I think that this is the call to action. I think that this is your sign from God you've been praying for. I think that this is the sign from the universe that you've been asking to see that it's time for you to move into business. But I know that, like, being an entrepreneur, going into business on your own can be daunting, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And so I'll just be sharing like a few tips and lessons learned that I've come across over the last few years, and even more importantly, just given my perspective and even my advisement from my vantage point of the transition from especially like the corporate world into entrepreneurship. Those of you that are in the corporate world, especially, if you've been able to like rise to certain levels within that world, you know that it can be a little bit taboo, right? Venturing out on your own, or even being entrepreneurial for yourself, which is crazy in and of itself, right? Because many organizations, like for these leadership positions, they actually want you to be entrepreneurial, right? I can't tell you the number of times that I've recruited for roles, and that has been a key characteristic or competency that I have looked for exclusively to fill some of these positions. But I tell you what, when you start having aspirations of your own to build your own and to really have true wealth, sometimes that does not mesh well. Okay. And so that's why, like, I found over the years, like, if you do have those aspirations, sometimes you will come under attack. Let's just be honest. Because when you are ambitious and you do have that entrepreneurial mindset and, those goals, you are somebody that's usually a forward thinker. Like you're not a follower. You usually think outside of the box. A lot of times you may be charismatic, and people are naturally just drawn to you, right? And so that, while those are all great things, and you think that others would praise you or actually be encouraged by that, some people get intimidated by that, right? Because there's so many people in the corporate world, and in jobs, for whom are, in all respects, and again, this is across all spans of organizations, from entry level all the way up to some of the top leadership, the reality is they don't feel that they can leave even though they want to. And so I have to tell you, over the years I have witnessed some things, right? I've had to coach people through some things. There's times I've even had to stop and pray for people, um, in the corporate world, because they've been under such stress and just turmoil, right? Because they do desire to leave that world, right? Because of the things that they're being faced with, the blockages, and some of it is spiritual, right? And and they don't know how to deal with it. And so unfortunately, some of them, they tell themselves, I can't really leave. And there's several reasons or things that people come up with. Some of them, again, I've had to work through myself, and that's come just through the years of expanding my mind, changing my vantage point, and building my network outside of my norm, right? With people that actually are entrepreneurs, right? To help me see different perspectives. But sometimes we tell ourselves these lies that, well, you know what, I really can't leave my job because, I need health insurance. And, when you really step back and think about that, the reality is that you can buy your own health insurance, and there's, again, there's so many different avenues and ways that you can go through, to get coverage. But oftentimes that's a fear for people, right? Because they haven't had to manage that for themselves. They're used to being able to join a company or organization, and they just deduct it out of your check. But again, if when you sit back and you think about it, and you really weigh the options of maybe being capped at the salary that you're currently making. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year at this corporation, right? And you have your insurance benefits, and you also have your retirement 401k matching plan that they're providing you. And again, you're thinking, wow, I don't think I can leave that, or I don't want to walk away from that. That actually is ridiculous. And I had to learn how ridiculous it was, and how ridiculous it was for me to have those thoughts. Because I remember sitting down with my accountant at the time, and I just started an LLC actually with my cousin, and I remember him sharing with me. Now, I thought I was doing something back then because I was, had a decent, level position, like second in command, within an organization, within the HR team. And I was making some really good money. And so one of the goals, I've always challenged myself financially and set, goals for myself. And one of the goals that I had set like a few years prior was to truly max out my 401k. Now, I know some folks talk about, hey, I max out my 401k, and they think they're maxing out their 401k because they're merely contributing the company match. Well, that's not maxing out your 401k. Actually, the US government has a certain allowable amount that you're able to contribute pre-tax. And at the time, I think that was $18,000, and then every year it goes up, up and up and up. And by that time, I think it was $19,000 that you could contribute into your 401k, um, without having to be taxed on it. As we sit here today, that 401k limit has increased in the year of 2023 to $22,500. So you are able to, if you're working for an employer, you can contribute $22,500 into your 401k pre-tax dollars, which is a great thing. Now, the reason that I say that, hey, my thought of that being a reason to hold someone back, or as I was thinking, to hold me back from entrepreneurship, was crazy, because when I sat down with my accountant, I learned, like at that time, and this was several years ago, that actually through my business, through my LLC, I would be able to contribute up to $56,000. And so here I'm thinking, well, I'm going to cut myself off from being able to, really contribute into my 401k, like I've challenged myself to do, and, have been staying committed to do. But again, like in some respects, some of the things that we think, our advantages, or we tout as reasons not to jump into entrepreneurship, as we do additional research and get additional exposure, we may learn that actually you would be in a better position if you were to go ahead and jump into entrepreneurship. Now, again, for everyone, myself included, I'm not just saying go out there and quit your job and jump right into entrepreneurship, especially if you, if you have a decent role and you're able to withstand it. And you're still learning and growing within that organization, you actually can do both, right? And I think that we're in a world where we're able to be multifaceted, right? Where we're able to show up in multiple spaces and places and really contribute. And that's one of the things that I encourage people to do. But I think that there is an art to it. I think that there are some implications to it, and some things that you should prepare yourself for and that you should keep in mind right? Because it's a slippery slope, and it can be a tight rope to walk, because as I said, not everyone is going to cheer you on, right? Like you might slip up and mention to a coworker, hey, I have this other business on the side that I'm doing, and they might think it's great because they're like, wow, like you're doing it, and heavens forbid they mention it to the wrong person that's a hater. Next thing you know, your time is being clocked, and hey, so and so is starting late every morning, to work, and just all this other, nonsense that starts happening. And again, it's not because necessarily that you are slipping on your work, but word has gotten out that, oh my God, this person has created another stream of income. And so they actually may be able to leave the corporate plantation. So we got to watch her. So again, you have to again, I think that there's some lessons that I've learned myself too, just in that transition, and being able to manage through it. One of the keys is mindset, right? And I think that's a lot that I'm probably going to focus on, in this series. Like I'll be coming on periodically just to share, like, our thought process. And again, that consciousness engineering that needs to take place to be able to transition you from the mindset of working for someone and having someone else responsible for your well-being, putting someone else in the position where they're responsible for your livelihood, to then taking full ownership of that yourself, because that comes with some pressure. That's going to come probably with some stress. If you're not surrounded by entrepreneurial people, you may find that you actually have to build a different network, that you may actually have to step away a little bit, or maybe you learn that you're not able to share like your accomplishments or the goals or things that you're working on with what has been your core group or core network of people that you deal with, because they're simply just not going to understand. They're going to think that you are absolutely crazy. For one, why would you want to go on your own? Why would you want to incur that stress? Why would you want to put yourself in a position? And here's the reality, folks. If you are working for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur, the reality is you're going to work harder for yourself than you ever will for anyone else if you want success. Now, I know over the years and even in my 20s, I've been met with these dreams and these sales pitches of, hey, become an entrepreneur so that you never have to work a day. And the reality is, you never have to work a day in your life because you're doing things that you love. But this fallacy of that you're not going to have to put work into whatever it is that you do or build, it's simply not true. It's simply not the case, at least not in the beginning. There is some sweat equity that you are going to have to put into place. There is some funding that you're going to have to invest in yourself, right? And that may be by way of taking courses to learn new skills. That may be by way, as you begin to grow and elevate your business, bringing on additional resources so that you can have some help, to help you scale and grow, and really just being committed until you're able to be in a position where you can begin to scale yourself and your business up such that you're able to automate some things. And it's possible to get there. It's possible to get there. But again, in the beginning phases, you may find that you're putting in a lot of hours, right? But I think the joy in it, and what the joy that I found in it, is that ownership of self, right? The ownership of my time. And I have to tell you, the other night, I've taken on another business that I've added that actually, it kind of aligns, and everything kind of it has some sort of connection. But I've been blessed in that, really the desires of my heart are being met. And so a few years ago, I really got a conviction. And I said, you know what? Moving forward, hey, I'm over 40. I want to make sure that my contributions in the workspace and in the business space and corporate world, they have to have some meaning to them. They have to have some tie into them of helping people and and making a difference in people's lives. And I'm truly in that space now, and even that much so with this other business uh, venture that I'm working on. And so the other night I was in meetings till about 11:30, and I was just so, I left off of that Zoom call just so pumped up and so exhilarated and just, a little bit tired, but just the inspiration that I got from it, just the exhilaration that I got from it, that over or superseded the physical tiredness that I may have felt, right? And so again, you are going to put in some sweat equity, and you are going to put some time into building your business and being an entrepreneur and learning. And you're going to make some mistakes. We've heard about the book Failing Forward, right? And and walking through that whole process. And so you have to learn. You may have to learn how to interact with yourself a little bit more differently than you had before. And that simply just means that being kind to yourself, allowing yourself to make mistakes and allowing yourself to not be perfect. Those are things that I have had to grow through. When I tell you, it's been such a mindset shift, and just learning that, you know what, if my body is telling me today that maybe I need to start a little bit later, then I need to give that to myself. I've learned for myself that I need to have some physical activity, right? Several days a week, almost at least 5 days a week. It actually makes me sharper, right? To be able to jump into some of the business stuff. Like for me, it's become a treat to be able to work out. When I work out, that is like my time to myself. It's time where I challenge myself to grow, and it's time where oftentimes I manifest because as I'm pushing myself through that pain, I'm thinking about the goals and the dreams that I have for myself and things that I want to accomplish. And again, part of growth is really, just challenging yourself to do new things, right? Because once you accomplish that, or you achieve what you thought was an obstacle for you, then you begin to know and understand, I really can achieve anything that I put my mind to. Now, one of the other things that I will be touching on as well in this series will be just setting up your business, right? Just this week, I had someone that asked me, hey, can you tell me why you chose to set up your LLC versus an S corp? And I really, I kind of talked them through that, right? There's advantages to both. One is not, neither is wrong, but I really like the LLC, which again, like, the LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. And so as much as possible, I want that limited liability, right? And I love being able to separate myself from the company for tax purposes, for credit purposes, because you're able to set up separate business credit, and then you're able to have like insurances. That's another thing that I want to get into, guys, because we have so many people that have these great minds and great ideas, and they're doing coaching, and they're, providing these classes, and, and doing these trainings and taking on these sessions, and they don't have any E&O insurance. They might not even know what E&O insurance is. But honey, it's errors and omissions. You need to have that. If you are in any capacity where you are doing any type of coaching, where you are going in and selling services or products that impact people's lives, like insurance for one, um, or doing trainings, especially like working with corporations and things, and working to help others build their businesses, you need to have that insurance. I that was something else that I learned. And so again, through building other networks, I was able to actually connect with others that were in the same or similar type of business that I have, which is an HR consulting business. And they were able to share with me, the type of insurance that they got, and even the company. And so I was able to go ahead and get myself straight. And, I've got right now over $1 million worth of coverage, which I think is sufficient for where my business is now. But again, you know, the goal here is to be able to, follow your dreams and operate in your destiny, but you want to do it in a way that's not going to put yourself in harm's way, or, in a position where, you start taking risks such that you may negatively impact your life and negatively impact, the things that you've built up, over the years. In addition to that, like, I was talking about that separation. For many years, I had to learn that I was signing paperwork wrong, right? Because again, I have an LLC, that limited liability company. And so, I learned that, hey, like, as I'm signing contracts with people and things, I need to sign them with my title. Now, I'm giving y'all some free game, right? That normally I would, kind of give behind closed doors in a meeting, in a paid session. But no, like, you need to, when you set up your company and you have that LLC, you should be signing it. Your name is the owner, right? The owner of that company, because you're representing that company. Just as, like, when you're working for these corporations and you're signing contracts, like I used to, like, on behalf of these corporations, again, like, I am just an acting agent of the corporation signing off on this paperwork. And that's significant, and it is imperative because it protects you. It protects you from personal liability should something go awry, or wrong. And so, again, if there's an issue, they need to sue the company, right? And not you personally. And so, again, it's those little nuances and learnings of the things that, hey, you don't know what you don't know. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know these things, or if you're learning along the way. Just begin to put yourself in a position to seek out help. Don't be afraid to pay for help, to be able to go to experts who can actually help hold your hand and walk you through these processes to make sure that you are in compliance and that you have things set up appropriately, right? And even more so, that you are maximizing your efficiencies, right? And so, again, I think that, there's so much value out there in the world, especially in today's day and age, especially with the technology that we have with the AI products and resources. We're able to do more, we're able to create more. And I encourage you all to do that, even if you're doing it as a side gig, in addition to maybe a more traditional role. Just know that you have a voice in the world, and that you may have a skill or a resource that someone else needs. You may be the answer to someone's needs. So, definitely explore getting yourself out there and going after those dreams and those destinies. Now, there may be others out there who they know that they desire to be in business, but they're just not sure, like, where to start. They're not sure even what business that they should be in. I think my advisement for you would be to just really sit down, you know, in a quiet space. Hopefully, you're already in the practice of prayer and meditation, right? So that you can have that quiet time to just listen to yourself and to be able to hear from, your higher power. But really begin to think about the things that you're good at. Like, what skills have you actually been able to hone over the years. Those will help you identify your niche, right? Like, what is it that I am really good at? What is it that I am an expert at? What is it that I just do naturally? What are the things that people naturally come to me for help with? And just start making a list of those things. And you probably will find that you're able to monetize those things and turn them into a legitimate business and resource and, of income, another stream of income for yourself. Also, more importantly, I think, you also owe it to yourself to be able to identify those things for which you actually find enjoyment with. So start paying attention to yourself and your inner being and how you feel when you do certain things. What actually brings joy to you? What are the things that you're able to do, even if you only got 2 or 3 hours of sleep the night before, but you're able to push through it because you really just have a passion, for doing, these particular things, and really just push through them, right? Write down those things and those instances, because you're going to want to make sure that there's elements of that incorporated with whatever business that you choose to go into, because you are going to need to have that tenacity, you're going to need to have that passion, you're going to need to have that drive to keep going when times get tough and when things seem to get hard, and when the naysayers come, and when the people that your most trusted people and people that you love start to question, like, why are you doing this? Like, what are you going through in life that you're doing this different thing? Like, why do you think that you need all these properties? Like, why do you think that you need all these companies? Like, what's going on with you? Well, tell them, look, I'm growing, I'm expanding. And again, it helps to be able to have a network of people that are in that similar space, that are comfortable with themselves, such that they're able to be transparent with you and really, let you know, hey, like the old saying says, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started in order to be great. And sometimes you're going to be scared and terrified out of your mind, but just do it scared, because that's how you build up your strength. That's how you build up that character. Because once you push through something and you persevere, that is going to build up that confidence within you. And again, it's just like little building blocks and stepping stones. You begin to build confidence over confidence over confidence. And before you know it, you will be able to accomplish anything that you put your mind to. And then you'll be able to, again, not only do that, but you'll become like a magnet. Again, the universe is like a magnet. The energy that you put out there, you're going to find that you're going to get it back. And so as you're out and going after your dreams, and you're having that success, and you're just in a positive mind state, it's going to be weird at first, because you're going to find out that you just start attracting these same like people, these same minded people, right? And you'll be able to collaborate with them. You'll be able to network with them. Some of them will sit down and give you the game plan. That's just what happened to me over the last month and a half, right? Again, another divine connection that God brought into my life with a young man for something else that actually introduced me to the business, the additional business I've just added on. But also it sparked a whole nother segment of business for me, because we connected because we both like had HR. He had an HR background, which is the space that I'm in. So and he's highly entrepreneurial. He's a serial entrepreneur. And and he's over in another country. He's over in Eastern Europe. And and we would meet virtually and just vibe. We started talking about like the goals, that we were kind of looking forward to for 2023, as we were moving into the new year. And he shared with me another business that he has that makes him millions, a year, for the most part passively, right? And so as he was sharing this with me, It didn't even dawn on me at the time that it's something that I needed to even entertain. I'm just listening and inspired. Like I get inspired, and I love seeing people go after their dreams and really go for it and have success, especially when they have like a good heart, right? And he's just a phenomenal person. And so again, it didn't even dawn on me, but I know I've come to know, and I've come to really, really grow my relationship with God and understand how He works with me. And that is how He works with me. A lot of times He lets me get up close and personal to the things that He's getting ready to bring me into. And a lot of times He does that by way of people. He will connect me to individuals who are able to expose me to a different lifestyle, or to, new thoughts, or, just a new way of living, right? In this case, it was, another business opportunity. Actually, two ended up being two business opportunities. And so he really, like, he explained to me like how he managed this. And so fast forward a few weeks later, um, I actually needed the resources that he provides. And so I was going to go and outsource it and have someone else provide those resources to me. And then again, the thought came into my mind, well, again, this is your background. You're able to do this for yourself. So I ventured down that road. And then I said, I can help other people, so that, we can make life easier for them as they're scaling up their businesses. And again, this was outsourcing resources from other countries, right? Um, which essentially is kind of an HR staffing function. And again, there's some advantages to that, which I want to come back and talk to you guys about in another segment. But there's so many advantages, right? There's so many different skills that you're able to get. It sets you up to be able to really expand globally. When you're working with people that are in other countries, um, you're able to expand your network. And then in some cases, you're able to actually get the resources that you need at a reduced, price point or cost for your company or organization, which is highly important as you're scaling up, as you're a new business, right? Because you're looking at, cost and revenue, right? Your expenses versus your revenue. And so you want to be very cognizant of that. And so the thing that I love about it is, again, while you're able to get those resources that you need at a reduced price, you're able to still pay a wage to individuals for whom in their country it allows them to live a very good lifestyle. It allows them to live comfortable. So you want to find that, that medium, that mesh, right? Where it's a win-win for you and a win-win for them. Now, in doing that, it can be a little tricky because you need to make sure that you're classifying people correctly. um, Otherwise, you might find that you put yourself in a bad position where you may end up owing not only the U.S. government some money for taxes, for payroll, but also you may end up owing the individual's company of origin some money, right? Because you've been paying them and they've been working for you. And so that's where, like, understanding job classifications and how you classify people, understanding the paperwork that you need to fill out, and submit, like at the end of the year, that tracks like the payments and things that you've been providing to folks, is important and imperative. And so since I have that knowledge and those skills, I actually have been able to expand my business to offer staffing services of staff outside of the US, to be able to help folks that are just starting and scaling up their businesses. And so I'm so excited, guys, for 2023. I can't believe it's only January still, although we're nearing the end of January. I will tell you, this year has started off with a bang. I feel like I'm about 5 or 6 months in. Things have been happening and coming fast and furious, but it's been awesome. It's been a growth experience for me, and I am truly, truly looking forward to what's to come. And so, as I'm learning and growing in life and in business, I'm going to be sharing you those little nuggets. I do want to remind you that, again, you're on the Lamborghini_C channel. So I ask you to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the little bell so that you'll know when I go live, as I get inspiration, or sometimes, to be honest, is if I have like a few minutes in between meetings, then I will hop on live. I do want to invite you to check out Enterprises.com. And again, it's EDMUND enterprises.com. That is my consulting business website. I consult with folks on HR matters and general business, matters as they're starting, entry level of starting their businesses, to help them with, policy creation, and again, just navigating that move into entrepreneurship. In addition to that, I've started to offer staffing services for those that have their businesses established and they're at a point where they're beginning to need to scale up, and they want to manage it and do it in a cost effective way. So again, hit us up on edmund-enterprises.com so that we can get you connected with, the services that you need. Also, we've expanded and we are offering insurance benefits. Now, this has been coming up quite a bit. I've been hearing some folks talk about this, which I'm happy about, especially in the black community, right? This year, like I said, it started off with a bang. Now, unfortunately, we have lost just some great souls. It seems like every week, there's news of someone else transitioning and leaving this earth. Unfortunately, we're also seeing where perhaps the family and themselves weren't prepared, right? So they're having to raise money, donations, whether or not it's via way of, in the church raising offering, or going online to set up GoFundMe accounts, right? Or even having to dip into savings. That's not what you want to do, to pay for funeral expenses to bury your loved ones. So we are offering means by way for individuals to get themselves protected and to protect their families, especially entrepreneurs, right? Because I know, like I said, stepping away from that traditional job, where some of that stuff has been set up for you, even though in the space with the insurances, a lot of times those end when you leave that job, right? And so, again, especially if you're out on your own, you really need to think about protecting your legacy, because that's what we're all in it for, right? So, again, you can hit us up on edmund-enterprises.com, connect with us, go ahead and, and send us a quick note, and we would love to work with you. So again, we're growing, we're expanding. We have represented in the US and Colombia, in Brazil. I'm excited about that because I'm excited to have all of the different perspectives, and the learning that I am getting, from working with folks within the other countries. And so again, I'm Lamborghini C. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And please continue to join me for my segment of Are You Ready for Business? Have a great day, guys.